yesterday morning I gave you an editorial on the extraordinary defiance of the Te Pāti Māori concerning the Privileges Committee, if you remember that. And I said, this can only really end one way. Well, yesterday afternoon, in further defiance, in a press conference in Parliament, and at the same time that the Privileges Committee was meeting, Debbie Ngarewa-Packer and Rawiri Waititi, the co-leaders of Te Pāti Māori, were giving a press conference. Now, here we go. They said they couldn't make it for a variety of reasons to the Privileges Committee, right? But here they are in the same building at the same time having a press conference as the Privileges Committee is meeting. So obviously being there wasn't a problem. There was no geographic disadvantage to them. Anyhow, they have a press conference at the same time the Privileges Committee's meeting, and they decided to make a series of allegations against the Privileges Committee, against Parliament, but also, I suggest to you, against the people of New Zealand. And now it has become clear and more evident with every passing day of rhetoric that the aim and the aegis of Te Pāti Māori is essentially to remove the Māori people from the governance of New Zealand. This is, you think Donald Trump's is a radical agenda, so too are Te Pāti Māori. And yesterday, in the rhetoric and in the words that they use and the rationale and the reasoning that they promoted before the Parliamentary Press Gallery, they clearly signalled that they have one aim and one aim only, and is to remove the Māori people from the government of New Zealand as an ethnic grouping and as a culture and as an identity. I'll explain. First of all, Debbie Ngarewa-Packer got up and did the whole sob story. Oh, listen, one of the reasons we're not going is because we're so worried about the bullying of Hannah. Now, this is the young Māori girl who started the theatrics in Parliament, took place in the haka after she'd ripped up the bill in pretty dramatic footage, as you would have seen, quite theatric, really. But they said that she's been bullied, poor Hannah, and the bullying of rangatahi in this place, meaning Parliament, she's already been sanctioned by the Privileges Committee, and she's been bullied, and how dreadful this is. That was the first thing. They were at Parliament yesterday, but chose not to attend because this is the rhetoric they used. Because what it is to be Māori and have tikanga in this place will not be upheld by the Privileges Committee or Parliament. And we are not going. We are not sorry. We'd do it again in a heartbeat because this is who we are. And we're facing a never-ending tsunami of hate and from the tyranny of the majority. That means you and me and the rest of New Zealand. Apparently, the majoritarian of us are consuming or sending a tsunami of hate in their direction. And then they also said this, in the context of a dominating culture forcing us into submission. And that was why they weren't going to attend, and they're going to have an alternative. They're going to have their own Privileges Committee set up by themselves, and some risible, it has to be said, satire of the existing institution at Parliament. Listen, this rhetoric is now not simply divisive. This rhetoric is now simply not defiant. This is the recipe and rhetoric of revolution. And it is clear now that the Te Pāti Māori regard not just Parliament with its huge number of Māori MPs, in fact more Māori MPs proportionally than any other ethnicity in New Zealand. It's our current makeup of Parliament. No, but it regards Parliament, its institutions, and this country as, quote, a dominating culture forcing us into submission, and we will no longer submit. And they then referenced the huge hikoi that they were involved in a couple of months ago and said this essentially was the clarion call, or at least the cry of the Māori people for independence from this particular dominating culture. This is a radical, not divisive, but revolutionary agenda that is aimed at withdrawing all Maori folk from all institutions. Now, I wouldn't mind but no, I would mind in actual fact. I was just about to be sardonic, but I have no intention of being so on such an important issue. And we now need to know that within our midst, we have the people who are determined to sabotage our country and our culture, our history and our heritage and our institutions in pursuance of what they regard as freedom, their own Liberation Day. We'll see how that turns out. But I got to tell you, this is starting to get evil. Those are my thoughts today. What are yours?